beautiful people. Today, we will take a look at your male accessory sex glands, which includes, of course, your seminal vesicle, your prostate gland, your bulbourethral gland, and of course, we will also take a look at your male copulatory organ, which is your penis. Okay? You have here an illustration showing you your penis. Of course, you have here your penis, and then you have your bulbourethral glands here, your Cowper's glands, and then you have your prostate gland, and then you have your seminal vesicle. Okay, and so these are accordingly the locations of your male accessory sex glands. Of course, you have your testes. Okay. Your seminal vesicle, this one is located at the base of the urinary bladder, as what we showed earlier. And yes, it is a paired, elongated, and highly folded glands with irregular lumen. Okay, with an irregular lumen accordingly. Please note that each gland consists of a single folded duct. Okay, a single folded duct with a 12 to 15 centimeters in length and 3 to 4 millimeters in diameter. Okay, and yes, the duct of your seminal vesicle joins with the ductus deferens to form your ejaculatory duct. Okay, again, your duct of your seminal vesicle joins with ductus deferens coming from your testes to form the ejaculatory duct. Okay, accordingly, your seminal vesicle, the walls of your seminal vesicle has layers. You have here your mucosa, your muscle layer, and your adventitia. The mucosa of your seminal vesicle it has numerous folds, okay, as what we said earlier, okay, and yes, the folds will form many crypts and cavities, and yes, these crypts and cavities are utilized to communicate with the lumen. Okay, the crypts and cavities that are formed with the presence of numerous folds in the mucosa of your seminal vesicle, it is utilized to communicate with the lumen. And yes, the mucosa, it is lined by pseudostratified, non-ciliated columnar epithelium. And of course, there is a lamina propria. Okay, there is a lamina propria present. Okay, there are low columnar or cuboidal, larger principal cells, and few interspersed small and round basal cells. Of course, since it is pseudostratified, there are cells that will not reach the apical surface or the free surface or the lumen. Okay, and they are located basally. Okay, the lamina propria of your mucosa of the seminal vesicle is loose connective tissue, and it has elastic fibers and few smooth muscle cells accordingly. Okay, that is for the mucosa. And the muscle layer, it is made of a thin layer of smooth muscles, a thin layer of smooth muscles. And yes, they are arranged in inner circular and outer longitudinal layer. Again, please note it is arranged in inner circular and outer longitudinal layer. Okay, contraction of these muscles, of this muscle layer, or the muscles present in the muscle layer of your seminal vesicle, helps in the expulsion of glandular secretion. The glandular secretion, you call it, of course, as seminal fluid. Okay, the glandular secretion, okay, is contraction of the muscles helps in expulsion of the glandular secretion. Of course, going into the ejaculatory duct. Okay, going into the ejaculatory duct. And then, of course, you have an adventitia, which is made of a thin layer of loose connective tissue. Please note it is loose connective tissue. Okay, your seminal vesicle accordingly as to production, I mean as to substances that are produced, your seminal vesicle produces your seminal fluid. And yes, your seminal fluid is rich in fructose. And yes, this fructose is the main energy source for your sperm or for your spermatozoa. Again, your fructose, it is the main energy source for your spermatozoa. Aside from fructose, prostaglandins are also produced by your seminal vesicle. Yes, your seminal fluid is alkaline in nature and it helps to neutralize the vaginal secretions during copulation. Okay, of course, during copulation, the what they call this sperm is what they call this sperm or spermatozoa is ejected into the vagina. Okay, and yes, your seminal fluid contains lipochrome pigments that impart a yellowish color to the semen. Okay, it imparts yellowish color to the semen. You have your flavin accordingly, it imparts the normal color to the semen. Okay, this one actually is a histologic image coming from your seminal vesicle, showing you the what they call this uh yes, showing you the muscular part, of course. This is the muscular part. And then your mucosal folds. Of course, you have your mucosal folds accordingly. And yes, of course, accordingly for some, the lumen of your, what you call this, of your seminal vesicle contain blobs of eosinophilic secretion. Okay, this is your blobs of eosinophilic secretion. Of course, you have your mucosal folds. Of course, you have here your muscular layer. Okay, and this one, it shows you your columnar secretory epithelium. Okay, your columnar secretory epithelium. And then you have your prostate gland. Your prostate gland is the largest accessory sex gland of male reproductive system. Okay, it is about the size of a walnut and it surrounds the beginning of your urethra. And you call that portion of the urethra as prostatic urethra. Okay, your prostate gland is surrounded by a thick capsule. It is surrounded by a thick capsule and it consists of 30 to 50 tubulo-alveolar glands. Tubulo-alveolar glands which are embedded in a fibromuscular stroma. Your prostate gland has mucosal glands and submucosal glands. Your mucosal glands here, they are small tubular glands which are located in the mucosa, of course. And yes, they open directly into the prostatic urethra. While your submucosal glands, these are situated deeper into the mucosa and they open through ducts into prostatic urethra. Okay, your submucosal glands, they have ducts, while your mucosal glands, they open directly into the prostatic urethra. Okay, your main prostatic glands, they are located in the outer zone of your prostate and open through ducts in the prostatic urethra. You have alveoli of glands, okay, since yes, they are tubulo-alveolar glands. The alveoli of glands are lined by pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Okay, again, please note the alveoli of your prostate glands are, or the main prostatic glands are lined by pseudostratified columnar epithelium, and the ducts of prostate gland are lined by stratified columnar epithelium. Please note for the duct, for the passageway, for the ducts of your prostate gland, they are lined by pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Okay, the alveoli of your prostate are surrounded by fibromuscular stroma. They are surrounded by fibromuscular stroma, and the stroma, of course, consists of smooth muscles, collagen, and elastic fibers running in different directions. Again, when you say stroma, they are your supporting show. And yes, the stroma also contains blood vessels, nerve fibers, and lymphatics, since, of course, it is relatively a large gland. In older men, accordingly, they have this corpora amylacea. Your corpora amylacea is located, or is what they call this, located in some of your prostatic alveoli. This corpora amylacea, they are concentric lamellated bodies in your prostatic alveoli. And yes, what is this? What is this corpora amylacea? It is a glycoprotein precipitate, and after precipitation, it gets calcified. Okay, it gets calcified, and then it forms a concentric lamellated bodies in your prostatic alveoli. Okay, again, your corpora amylacea shows a concentric lamellar arrangement. Okay, it shows a concentric lamellar arrangement. And yes, according to some references, your corpora amylacea, the number, sorry, of your corpora amylacea increases with advancing age. It increases with advancing age. Okay, your prostatic urethra. Okay, your prostatic urethra is lined by transitional epithelium in its upper part, and the lower portion is by stratified columnar epithelium. The lower portion again is lined by stratified columnar epithelium. Gland, of course, produces your prostatic fluid. Okay, and yes, your prostatic fluid forms a major part of the semen. It is about 10 to 30% of the semen. Prostatic fluid. I mean, your prostatic fluid is 10 to 30% of your semen. Okay, your prostatic alveoli, it secrete prostatic fluid that contains prostatic acid phosphatase, what else? Fibrinolysin, citric acid, as well as prostate-specific antigen, or your PSA. Your prostatic fibrinolysin here helps in the liquefaction of your semen. It helps in the liquefaction of your semen. Soon, when you move into clinical microscopy, okay, you will learn about this liquefaction, okay, and other tests related to your seminal fluid. Your prostatic secretions, of course, these are pumped by contractions of smooth muscle that lie in the fibromuscular stroma. Again, sabi natin, your prostate gland, it has a fibromuscular stroma. And of course, there is a muscle present. Okay, again, your, what you call this, you have here an illustration showing you your zones of your prostate. Okay, your transition zone, accordingly, it surrounds the proximal prostatic urethra, and it comprises about 5% of the glandular tissue. Okay, again, your transition surrounds the proximal prostatic urethra. Please note this line. Okay, and so this is your what you call this prostatic urethra. Okay, proximal prostatic urethra. Okay, and then you have the central zone. Your central zone here, your central zone is 20% accordingly of your 20% accordingly of your prostate, and yes, it surrounds the ejaculatory duct. It surrounds your ejaculatory duct because again, okay, this ejaculatory duct will join with the prostatic, with the urethra. Okay, and the peripheral zone, it makes up the bulk of the gland, approximately 70%. Okay, this is your peripheral zone. It makes up the bulk of the gland. And yes, there is an anterior fibromuscular stroma that contains no glandular tissue, and it lies anteriorly. Okay, you have your anterior fibromuscular stroma. Okay, you have here an illustration still of your prostate. And again, your prostate gland is surrounded by a thin fibromuscular or fibrous capsule. And yes, internal to your capsule is a substantial layer of smooth muscle. Okay, substantial layer of smooth muscle that will give rise to your septa. Okay, and so it will give rise to your septa. Please note that it is mainly muscular, but it has some fibrocollagenous components. Okay, and so this, what we call this septa will penetrate the organ to provide an intimate stroma supporting and demarcating your glandular elements. Okay, and so accordingly, and please note accordingly, the division into central and peripheral zones is indistinct in this one. Okay, and sa peripheral zone, accordingly, the inner periurethral or the mucosal glands are small and open directly into the urethra. Okay, and so you have your what you call this mucosal glands accordingly, which open directly into the urethra around its entire surface. The outer, okay, the outer periurethral glands are more numerous and open into the urethra through short ducts. Okay, you have your outer here, you have your outer what you call this periurethral glands. Okay. Of course, your peripheral zone, the glands of your peripheral zone, they empty into they empty their secretions into the urethra by way of long ducts opening alongside the urethra. Of course, you have your peripheral zone present. The ducts present, they are accordingly long. Okay, ganun po siya. Of course, you have your ejaculatory duct here. Okay, you have here a histological image of your prostate glands. Okay, and so of course you have your epithelial cell type, tall columnar cells with a prominent round basal nuclei. Okay, there are also scanty population of small flat basal cells at the base of the gland, which is actually in contact with the basement membrane. Okay. This one is a histologic image of your prostate still showing you your mucosal glands. Okay, you have your mucosal glands here, which open directly into the lumen of the urethra. This is your urethra. And then still, prostate gland pa rin, it has a papillary pattern of ingrowths, no? Okay, and yes, okay, you still have your fibromuscular stroma, fibromuscular, okay, and collagenous stroma. Still, okay, showing you your what you call this prostate gland. Okay, your prostate gland, okay, shows you your lining epithelium, columnar cells still. Okay, it is again the lining epithelium is composed of tall, pale staining columnar cells with, of course, occasional basal, small basal cells. The basal cells, they are dark. They have a dark staining nuclei. Okay. You have a what you call this a delicate stroma, supporting stroma of the papillary ingrowth. You call that as your, yeah, you have it as your stroma of the papillary ingrowth. And of course, you have your periglandular layer of smooth muscle fibers. Again, so you have as such. Of course, the lumen contains corpora amylacea. Corpora amylacea. This is accordingly uncalcified. Okay, corpora amylacea. Okay, and then you have your Cowper's glands. Your Cowper's glands, they lie in the urogenital diaphragm. And yes, they are tubuloalveolar glands, alveolar glands. And yes, they are lined by simple columnar epithelium. Simple columnar epithelium po. Okay? Your Cowper's glands produces a mucus-like secretion containing galactosamine, galacturonic acid, sialic acid, and methyl pentose. So, and yes, this what do you call this? The secretion coming from your Cowper's glands constitutes your pre-seminal fluid that lubricate your penile urethra, or in layman's term, they call it as the precum. Okay, and so in, of course, sa atin, we call it as your pre-seminal fluid. And yes, it lubricates your penile urethra. Okay, and then you have your penis. Your penis, this is the erectile organ of copulation in males. And yes, it consists of a root, which is fixed in the perineum, and then a body, which is, yes, that is what you already see. The body or the shaft, or that is the free part. Okay, the penis consists of three masses of erectile tissue. Three masses of erectile tissue. You have your two dorsal masses. You call it as corpora cavernosa. You have two corpora cavernosa. And then a single ventral mass known as corpus spongiosum. Okay, these are your three erectile masses. Okay, this one is a zoologic image of your penis in transverse section, showing you your what do you call this? Your corpora cavernosa. You have your dorsal. What do you call this? Yes, you have your dorsal erectile tissue, your corpora cavernosa, which is actually vascular. Again, okay, and so your corpora cavernosa or your erectile tissue, they are actually vascular erectile tissue. They are vascular erectile tissue. Okay? Again, you have your corpora cavernosa. Corpora cavernosa, di ba? Sabi natin, two dorsal. And then you have one ventral. Okay? This is your ventral. In your in your corpus spongiosum, this is where you can find the urethra. Okay, and so this is where you can find the urethra. Again, in your ventral corpus spongiosum, this is where the urethra runs. Okay, there are small mucus glands present in the corpus spongiosum, and they are concentrated at the penile urethra. Okay, they are concentrated at the penile urethra. Of course, the corpora, they are enclosed within and divided by a broad fibromuscular tissue. Okay, tissue capsule. Okay, they are enclosed within. Of course, you have a broad fibromuscular capsule. Okay, and the erectile tissue, the erectile core is surrounded by a sheath of skin to which it is connected by a loose subcutis containing a number of blood vessels, including the paired dorsal arteries and then the midline, superficial, and deep dorsal veins. Okay, and so but then overall in this illustration, it shows you your corpora cavernosa, your two dorsal corpora cavernosa, and then your corpus spongiosum. Okay, of course, they are separated by a fibromuscular capsule. Okay, this one is an illustration of your corpora cavernosa. Okay, and so your corpora cavernosa. They have here your central deep artery. Okay, corpora cavernosa, and then you have your central deep artery. Okay, you have here an illustration showing you the system of interconnecting vascular channels of your corpora cavernosa. This one is what you call this, not erected. No, this is in a non-erected state. Okay, your erectile tissue still, your corpora cavernosa, again, it contains numerous vascular spaces which are lined with vascular endothelium and are covered by thin, smooth muscle layer. Okay, while your corpus spongiosum, it is a sponge-like tissue that surrounds your penile urethra. Okay, your tunica albuginea is a thick connective tissue sheath that binds the three erectile masses together and also partially separates your two corpora cavernosa accordingly. Okay, again, the tunica albuginea is covered by, and then of course, the tunica albuginea is covered by a thin layer of connective and skin that is devoid of hairs. The connective tissue of the penis is called as your box fascia and is devoid again of okay, it is devoid, it does not contain fat. Okay, and your penile urethra, this is lined by pseudostratified columnar epithelium except at the terminal part. And yes, the terminal part kasi, it is lined by stratified squamous sa terminal portion na. Okay, please note that near the terminal part, penile urethra is surrounded by glands of Litter. Okay, they are mucus secreting glands. Your mechanism of erection. Please note that your three erectile tissues, each of them, they contain one central artery. Okay, and so in your one corpora cavernosa, it has one central artery, the other one central, and then for your corpus spongiosum, it has one central arteries. And the central arteries will branch out to form your helicine arteries. The central arteries again will branch out to form your helicine arteries. But then, before we take a look at this one, you have your neuropsychological stimulation. Okay, your erotic stimuli. Okay, erotic stimuli. This is actually your what they call this is neuropsychological stimulation, diba? Your erotic stimuli. These are processed in the limbic system and in the hypothalamus. So, thereby activating your spinal autonomic centers. Okay, your erotic stimuli again, they are processed in the limbic system and hypothalamus, thereby activating your spinal autonomic centers. So you have actually two spinal cord centers. You have your parasympathetic, okay, and sympathetic. Your parasympathetic is located in your S2 to S4 nerves, while your sympathetic is in T12 to L2 accordingly. Your parasympathetic initiates the erection via splanchnic nerves. Splanchnic. Okay, your parasympathetic, of course, initiates the erection via your splanchnic nerves, while your sympathetic, this one is involved in ejaculation. It is involved in ejaculation. And there is this pudendal nerve. There is this pudendal nerve that controls your bulbus spongiosum and ischiocavernosus muscle. Okay, your pudendal nerve controls your bulbus spongiosum and ischio-cavernous muscles, helping in the rigidity. Your bulbus spongiosum here is a muscle in the pelvic floor that plays a key role in sexual function, and yes, it is also a part of the superficial muscles of the perineum. While your ischiocavernous muscle here is a paired muscle that is located in the urogenital triangle. Okay? After stimulation, of course, your parasympathetic nerves and endothelial cells will release nitric oxide. Your parasympathetic nerves and endothelial cells will release nitric oxide, and this nitric oxide will activate guanylate cyclase. Okay, your nitric oxide will activate guanylate cyclase to increase cyclic GMP. Okay, to increase cyclic or your cyclic guanosine monophosphate. And yes, your cyclic guanosine monophosphate will cause smooth muscle relaxation in the penile arteries and trabeculae. Okay, again, it will cause smooth muscle relaxation in the penile arteries and trabeculae. When it the If the smooth muscle will relax, it will cause a dilatation. It will dilate. If there is a relaxation, the lumen, okay, and so I mean, if relaxation will, if there is a relaxation, the blood vessel will dilate accordingly. Okay, and so yes, neuropsychological stimulation will stimulate or will cause arterial dilation. Okay, it will cause arterial dilation. What will happen if there is an arterial dilation? It will increase the blood supply to cavernous spaces. It will increase blood supply to your cavernous spaces. And yes, if there is an increase in the blood supply, the cavernous spaces will expand. The cavernous spaces will expand, of course, due to the filling or due to the increase in blood supply. Okay, this expansion of your cavernous spaces will cause compression of the veins against your tunica albuginea. Okay, it will cause compression of the veins against your tunica albuginea, reducing venous return. Or, of course, it will occlude your emissary veins. It will compress, thereby somewhat occluding your emissary veins, reducing outflow of blood. Okay, it will reduce outflow of blood to maintain the rigidity. Okay, to maintain the rigidity. Okay, of course, your tunica albuginea, the structure, helps trap blood within the corpus cavernosa. Okay, again, accumulation of blood in the cavernous spaces will cause the erection of the penis. Yes, that's it for today. We will continue next time. And yes, thank you for making this far. Thank you so much. And this has been Gael reminding you to live fully, love deeply, laugh often, keep learning, and never forget to enjoy the ride. Okay, thank you so much, and see you around.